Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friends Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael, they like to debate and deliberate the most ubiquitous aspects of any given topic, and this time around, it is the Mount Rushmore of one-off Skywalker. Oh my God.
No.
Skywalker. And this time around, it's the Mount Rushmore of one-off Skywalker Saga characters. Richard, you chose it. Why?
I did. I think when I was watching Rise of Skywalker, I started thinking about the idea of, so many of these characters, and especially with the Rise of Skywalker, you had a ton of like kind of cameos of characters who kind of came back from previous episodes.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking about, the characters who were just in one episode, who only had one chance to make a mark. And I said Skywalker Saga because obviously Rogue One is its own movie. So with a few exceptions, spoiler alert, they're all going to be one-off characters.
Okay.
And Solo obviously had a ton of characters who we already knew and we saw earlier on. So, so I wanted just to sort of keep it narrowly focused on those 9 movies.
Yeah.
So this doesn't include, I didn't include anything from like the Clone Wars.
Nope.
Nothing like that. Cool. Great. Super.
What's cool is like this.
I do like a narrowed focus.
But I'm not going to get too pedantic. If like one of us says one and someone goes, well, actually, there is a scene where in the background you could see those characters. No,
Yeah.
I mean, he has to be like in.
He was doing me, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, in case the listening audience
Was unfamiliar.
because
I thought it was Babu Frick.
I'm really hot. I'm really hot to correct Richard.
I'm just
every chance
glad
I can.
we are finally talking about Star Wars on the podcast.
Like we've never done. Next we'll have to do a Simpsons episode.
The Simpsons and maybe wrestling. Okay, so Richard chose the topic. Michael, you go first.
Okay. Well, I had to break mine down into categories. I haven't done that.
That's been a minute. Yeah.
In a long time. So I thought, okay, well, I want at least one from each of the different trilogies. So one from the prequel, one from the main trilogy, and one from the sequels. And I was like, okay, well, what else do I want? I was like, well, one of them should be a creature.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, one should be a droid. So I have kind of like these internal constraints on them.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just start with the prequels.
Wait, is this Richard talking or Michael? He does such a good impersonation of you.
Okay.
You
Now,
start with the
Richard,
prequels.
you say howdy. No, Michael, you talk.
I don't even know what's happening anymore.
So I'm going to start with a character from the prequels. So I'm going to start with Star Wars Episode 2's Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
The character of Dexter Jettster
Oh, yeah.
from Dex's Diner.
Is that the robot?
This isn't the robot.
Okay.
This is...
Because we've talked about him before, the droid.
Yeah, the kind of Alice type...
Right.
Mel.
Yeah, the Mel's.
He's like Mel.
Yeah. So this is the owner of said diner.
Yeah.
Who is like a kind of overweight, 6-armed creature-looking thing. And
Yeah.
he's like, hey, he's really friendly with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of brings in this. He brings in this dart that he found on the slain body of a bounty hunter, and to kind of identify some markings or something, try to figure out where it came from. And I'm sure that there is an extended backstory where these guys have been friends and had went on their own particular adventures. But he comes in.
Oh, you don't think it's just a pancake-based thing? Like he goes and gets pancakes there, and he knows this
Hey,
guy's...
by the way,
I know you've seen some shit before you start making pancakes.
I know it's a long shot, but
But so he comes in and he kind of identifies, and he's really friendly with him, but he's kind of, I don't know, he's a very interesting character. It's very much like a character role. He's doing a lot of like interesting, weird things with his hands, and a lot of character work. And I think that the character works in, the movie is terrible, but what I think they were attempting was this kind of 1940s film noir style detective angle for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Where he's following these details and going to the seedy parts of the galaxy, and he has to go to his friend that's seen it all. And he kind of fits within that world. It wasn't executed great, but you can identify this character. You know who he is in like storytelling.
Yeah.
He's a person that's been in the shit, but he's retired, and all he wants to do is sling hash and flip pancakes and run his dumbass diner or whatever. You know what this character is, even though it has 6 arms, And I don't know. I think that was a very interesting storytelling choice. It was just a shame that they really did such a bad job on just the rest of it.
There's possibly a good Obi-Wan movie.
There's a great Obi-Wan detective story. Obi-Wan Kenobi, detective of the stars or whatever.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get that with the TV show.
Oh yeah, that would be
Very
great.
possible.
That would be great. Anyway, but this guy, he also I think perfectly captures what George Lucas was trying to do with this new technology. And like this digital CGI character that looked quasi-realistic, but wasn't quite man in suit sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It was everything that was great and everything that was wrong with it too.
Mm-hmm.
And the prequels are that.
Yeah.
Everything that's great and everything that's wrong with like this, whatever he was trying to do. And I thought that the prequels should be represented in some way.
Yeah. Did Dexter Jettster
What a fucking name too. Jesus Christ.
have in his employ a droid who had the same number of arms as he did? Because I remember don't you pan past a person who is now the fry cook, and it's a robot with multiple arms.
Oh, probably. Oh God, he's God, look beyond your own race person.
Well, I thought that was a neat touch. Like he graduated from being the chef himself and replaced himself with a robot that was like him that had multiple arms. Richard's yawning. Okay, Richard, what's your first choice?
I wasn't yawning. I was just stretching my mouth. My first choice. You mentioned this character briefly.
Oh,
Babu Frick
Babu Frick. Okay, cool.
from Rise of Skywalker.
Hey.
Even if you didn't like Rise of Skywalker, and I know there are probably very, very diverse opinions on that movie in our listenership.
Yeah.
I think you would agree that Babu Frick was the breakout star.
Yeah, he was
of
a lot of
the
fun.
movie. So in the movie, if you haven't seen it yet, he's basically this droid smith who used to work with Poe Dameron and Zori Bliss as spice runners on the planet of Kijimi.
Yeah,
Oh, bless you.
I almost said Kimchi, which is a wrestler from the 90s. And he's basically brought in to try and extract this decipher the Sith inscriptions that C-3PO has in him, but he can't get out because he's blocked from doing it. And I love this character for a variety of reasons. One of it is because it's played by Shirley Henderson, who also played Moaning Myrtle in the Harry Potter franchise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
And
That's wonderful.
And she actually, this whole thing is actually a feat of practical FX instead of CGI. This is mainly puppeteering. It's kind of like a Baby Yoda type thing.
Oh, that's great.
And Shirley Henderson actually learned how to do puppeteering.
Oh.
So she could work the puppet's mouth because she wanted to be able to improv lines and noises and things like that. She wanted to be able to improv it as she was going along.
Yeah.
So she actually learned how to do the puppeteering. She John Malkovich'd it. So she could do that, which I think is just absolutely fascinating.
How Frank Oz of her.
Very much so. And also, it's the character that gets really the most laugh lines in all of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Whether it's the catchphrase like you said, or there's several other key moments in there where it's a funny character.
I think what Star Wars is able to do really well is they've always been able to play with size and expectations of size. Yoda is, just under 2 feet tall, standing next to, Chewbacca, who is 7'3" or however tall Peter Mayhew is.
Yeah.
And, the giant Rancor or the small Babu Frick, who, is
A little cat-looking thing.
yeah, this thing that's can stand on our table and not come up to our microphones. He's a great small character, and I think it helps. Characters like that help to show that the world isn't just humans or or like alien creatures that are the same size basically as an average human person or whatever. I like when they have important roles for weird.
Yeah.
For characters of different sizes.
Is there another franchise that has a greater taxonomy
Of
than
big to small.
Yeah.
I guess Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You go from like the orcs or from like the dwarfs to the Ents and everything in between. So
Yeah.
I would say that probably.
Yeah.
over? I feel like Star Wars. Yeah, I don't think they get as big as they maybe in that final battle in Avengers they get pretty big too,
Right.
but
I'm just happy that I know that they did the fake out where you thought they were dead when the First Order blows up Kijimi, And they brought him back, and I could see where that could feel like sort of a cop out.
Yeah.
But good. I'm glad they brought him back. I'd be very happy if in future Star Wars movies to see more of Babu Frick.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Okay, Michael, what's your second?
My second choice, moving along into like the main trilogy, is from The Empire Strikes Back, Lobot.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Lobot is one of those wonderful characters that doesn't have a single line of dialogue, but every person I know had him as a toy.
Yeah.
Somehow everyone had just Lobot. You just had him. You're just like, why do I have the bald guy with like the metal shit on his head? I don't know. Everyone had Lobot.
Yeah.
Because what Lobot could be in your imagination was wonderful. Well, he's just a bald guy with metal crap on his head.
Yeah.
But the character itself in the movie, Star Wars does a lot of sidekicks and kind of like major domo type characters like Bib Fortuna.
Yeah.
I was going to choose Bib Fortuna, but then I remembered they shoehorned him into the Phantom Menace, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Bib Fortuna's great. But Lobot himself made one appearance, was in a handful of scenes. I don't even know the actor's name that played him, but he's so like, he's got like that great craggy face. And it made bald guys look cool.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
He might be on the Mount Rushmore of cool-looking bald guys with, like, Mr. Clean.
And he had the reverse Geordie, right? Lobot has the headband that goes around the back.
He's the baseball player that's wearing his shades behind his
his
head
his head,
instead of right in the front. But he plays ultimately a character that doesn't have any lines of dialogue, but he plays an important role in assisting Lando Calrissian to, help Princess Leia and Chewbacca and a banged-up 3PO escape from Cloud City.
Yeah.
I love the idea of just like this kind of mindless robot guy. And of course, it didn't, it took years and years and years and years later for me to realize, maybe it's a play on lobotomy.
Oh, wow. No, I never thought about that.
Like, this guy obviously had part of his brain removed and they put like a metal thing in there, and now he's part robot and part human. He's a cyborg guy. Oh, a lobotomy.
Wow.
And, but when you're 8 years old, you're like, Lobot's fighting against the twin pod cloud car guys now, and who's going to rescue him? Oh, here comes Chewbacca, and C-3PO fell apart again.
Yeah. I assume when Jennifer Lopez ultimately marries Timothy Bottoms, that will be what they go by as a couple. Lobot in all the tabloids. Manfredi, what's your second?
My second is poor doomed Biggs Darklighter.
Oh, yeah.
From A New Hope, once he said this line, "It'll be like old times, Luke. They'll never stop us." You knew he was a dead man walking.
Yeah.
But he still plays an important role in the whole Star Wars universe because he's the one who kind of stokes Luke's sense of adventure in his dreams, and he's kind of the person that shows him that you could get off a Tatooine.
Yeah.
So I think because of that alone, he plays a very important role in the movie, even if he's someone who wound up not having a ton of lines and winds up getting blowed up real good.
Isn't he in the outtakes of A New Hope?
Yeah, I don't know if you.
The
deleted scenes with him are great. Where Luke is called Wormy by like Cammy and Fixer and all the other people, and Tank, all his like crew over at like Mos Eisley or wherever.
Yeah, there's a whole like
Biggs comes swaggering in like the BMOC.
Yeah, exactly. There is a version of Star Wars that could have been made where Biggs was a very prominent supporting role character.
Yeah,
he just got most of his shit cut out for whatever reason. I understand why they cut it out, but I think at the same time it would have been a more interesting movie to kind of understand a little bit more about Luke's backstory and who he was exactly, and not just see him from the lens of being this farm boy with his parent, or not his parents, but his aunt and uncle. I think it would have been interesting to have those scenes in there, but I understand why they got cut.
Biggs is also one of those characters that there's so much potential in him. In the movie, he's only known as Biggs. Luke just calls him Biggs. It's like, you're all right, Biggs, all this stuff. And then you learn his name is Biggs Darklighter. And Darklighter feels like this previous script where George Lucas had, Luke was Luke Starkiller, and they had all this nonsense about, when he was originally writing it, and he just, it was just so, Flash Gordon-y, overwrought and overwritten.
Right.
And Darklighter, it's just like, oh, you're two sides, like that doesn't.
Two sides of the same coin, or whatever.
It doesn't make sense.
So there is also, in one of the early drafts of the script, he's written as King Chaos's son.
Yeah.
Which would, make him Leia's brother? Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Read there. I have this making of Star Wars book, the Rinsler book, and he has like these amazing accounts. They're impossible to read because they're so big. There's these big like tabloid, or these big like coffee table, but like the writing is so small. It's just hard to read them. But what's even more difficult to read is George Lucas's screenplay stuff, where it's just all over the place. You're just like, what is going on here? You don't even want to read it as like a fantasy book.
Oof. So I just had him on there. I think he is representative of many characters in the Star Wars universe who there are deleted scenes out there or previous versions in the script that would have had much more prominent roles, but for one reason or another got cut down. And Biggs is a prime and maybe the most egregious early example of that.
He's also one of those characters that really sells Luke being alone against the Death Star. When he's in that final battle and Biggs is shot out of the sky and Wedge has to bail, and he's just flying down the trench, and then of course Han comes to his rescue and he hears the voice of Obi-Wan and all that. But like, this was his best friend that he looked up to. This was like his first, before Han was this cool guy, Biggs was the cool guy. And then he got blown away. So, like, you can really feel Biggs' absence when he's gone.
Well, you can tell by how much Luke mourns him after he lands.
Well,
Oh, wait. Nobody mourns anybody dying in the Star Wars universe, particularly A New Hope.
All right, guys. All right. It's time to get in the hot seat. That's right. Things are heating up here at the Mount Rushmore podcast. Woo! All right, at this time,
my wife
at this time, you each have to tell me a choice that didn't make your top 4 list. That's right, show me your stuff. Let it all hang out. Let's get dirty. Let's show me that thing that you thought better of. Okay, Michael, what was on your list?
DJ, the overly performed kind of locksmith character from The Last Jedi.
Oh,
what was the actor that played him? He was also in
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro.
Oh yeah,
who was like he is the reverse Lando.
Yeah,
he comes in and you think you can trust him, and then he kind of gets them out of trouble, and then he sells them short.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, it's Lando Calrissian, but just in reverse.
Yeah, I felt like they had extra days left over from his Guardians of the Galaxy contract or something like that. This is Benicio. We already gave you the money. You got to come in and do a part.
You got to come here, and can you stutter a little? Can you just affect something?
Just be weird.
Yeah,
just be weird.
Bit, just be weird.
I like, okie dokie.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't work.
All right, Richard, show me your stuff.
All right, so mine I didn't choose because I only wanted to have one from each movie. So from Rise of Skywalker, my other choice would have been Dio. Not Ronnie James
robot?
Dio, but the actual robot.
The little robot.
Yeah, adorable.
Yeah.
BB-8 levels of cuteness, but I also love the fact that he's kind of like a scared dog.
Yeah.
The whole idea that Ochi kind of had obviously abused him and been very mean and cruel to him kind of makes him gun shy.
Okay.
And so that you kind of see them having to win him over, and it's if anyone's ever been around or experienced a pet who's been like that before, you understand it.
All right, that was our hot seat. Show me your stuff that you don't want anybody to see. Okay, that was a weird new thing that may not come back. Okay, guys, thanks for doing that. This is our halftime, and at this point, we want to invite you to go out on our. That's not it.
Go out on our aluminum baseball bat.
I gotta say this, Jeff. Podcasting on a new board setup ain't like Dustin Crops board. No. Make one wrong calculation, find yourself blasting into space and bounce too far off of a thing, you'll find yourself floating home. I screwed that up, but you know what I mean.
Yes. I'm
Michael,
sorry,
trying to quote Han Solo is not like tossing crops at home, all right?
Thank you.
Okay, I clearly have a new toy, but don't know how to play with it yet. We want to invite you to go out onto our social handles such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and join us in the dialogue. You can hear about upcoming episodes, and you can make suggestions for upcoming topics for future episodes. Previous suggestors have ended up on the show with us, and they could be where? In the hot seat. So anyway, want to implore you to go to wherever you get your podcasts and download, rate, and review past episodes. It helps like-minded individuals.
Do you think Lobot has like a podcatcher just inside his little head?
Lobot is a podcaster. Podcatcher.
He's a podcatcher. He's not a pitcher. He's a podcatcher. And he's, hey, there's a new Marin. Bloop. Lando's trying to tell him to do something.
Right.
Oh my God. Corolla's talking about when he was a construction worker. Oh.
Even Lobot is fast forwarding for the first 12 minutes
of Marin. When you hear him play guitar. Pow! I just shit my pants. Okay, I gotta start the interview. So, so do that, and we'd appreciate it. And stay tuned for a live episode in March. We're going to have a St. Paddy's Day live episode. At least we think we are the Mount Rushmore of awesome Irish people. And we're back. And Michael Winfield is going to let us know his third official choice.
I wanted to include a droid on my list. And so I'm staying within the original trilogy from Return of the Jedi, EV-99.
Oh, okay.
Which is the, not in the interrogation droid, but like the brutish droid.
The tortured droid?
It's within the realm of the torture droid. It's like the administrator droid that lives in the dank basement of Jabba's palace.
Oh, yeah.
And the female programmed droid apparently kind of is adept at seeing other droids' pain through some sort of special sensors. But what I loved about EV-99 the most is the little flapping mouth. Just it has this little flapping mouth that when it talks, it is such an unnecessary addition to a droid that like every other droid we see, you can hear the voice. You see 3PO standing there, but EVD has this little mouth.
Yeah, the face is like
up and down.
The face is like a radio. You don't need a flapper to to let you know that it's going on.
But I think that this and two, it's like its arms move very. It feels very much like a puppet.
Yeah,
like a marionette rather than like an Anthony Daniels inside a suit. I think because it's so skeletal too. But I like that it's one of those droids like Star Wars has so many of that has like attitude. And it just takes no guff from 3PO and shoots 3PO down, which is almost just the best thing in the world. Yeah. You love to see 3PO put in his place, especially by another droid. And he's like, and same thing with R2. And it's funny because you think that this character is just there to be funny or there to whatever. But it actually plays like a very kind of important plot point because it gets 3PO reassigned to being standing next to Jabba the Hutt. So you can translate the things that Jabba is saying to Luke and to Boushh the bounty hunter and to all these different things. It helps facilitate just the storytelling of what's going on screen. Yeah. And then with R2, it sends R2 to the sail barge to serve drinks to their guests. The plot to rescue Han Solo from Jabba's palace is fraught with like, how is any of this supposed to work? Yeah. You send in Lando, then you send in Chewie as being captured by Leia in a costume, and then they can't get out. Who's supposed to get Chewie out? What happens to the droids? And then Luke shows up and as a badass without his lightsaber, and R2 has to be in the right spot on top. Like, all of these things have to happen for Luke's grand plan to work. Maybe because he's a Jedi or can use the Force. Maybe he can foresee, R2, you're going to be reassigned as a drink-serving droid. So I'll just stuff my lightsaber in there and pop it out to me in the exact right moment. Yeah. But without that one scene, you don't really know why 3PO would be there. You don't know why R2 would be this other place for these other things to kind of culminate later on.
Yeah.
Thank you, EV99.
Thank you, EV99. Like kind of the puppet master a little bit. Did R2 have like a compact disc on his
Betamax
extender arm?
Betamax.
I feel like in that scene, I think it was before CDs were that prevalent. There's something like on him when he's a waiter or a cocktail, serving cocktails. There's something like a CD or something like that. It looks just like a CD.
I don't know. I know that he's maybe he's like wearing like a tray.
Yeah,
A drinks tray, which is
Okay, Winfield, what you got?
no.
All right, sorry. Okay, Manfredi, what do you got?
All right, so my third choice. So during The Mandalorian.
Oh,
So this is not a Mandalorian choice.
Okay.
But I'm prefacing this by saying, during The Mandalorian, there were hardcore Star Wars fans who were treated to a delightful cameo that harkened back to The Empire Strikes Back. It wasn't a character. No, it was an object. The Camtono. It's a type of safe that looks mysteriously like an ice cream maker.
Oh, sure.
So my choice is Willrow Hood, otherwise known as Ice Cream Maker Guy.
okay. He's the guy running with the ice cream.
He is the guy on Cloud City during the evacuation, who you can see in the background, kind of in the background, kind of in the foreground, running away with a what we later learned through The Mandalorian is a very advanced safe thing. At the time, everyone looked at that and said, "Why does that guy have an ice cream maker?
Yeah.
What's so important about ice cream on Cloud City?" And this is how Star Wars was back, when we were watching it and first experiencing it. You had no way of like going online and finding out information about this character, and you didn't have these websites that were you didn't have Reddit, you didn't have interviews with everyone that were with the makers and creators of the movies that were giving all these like little details. You just sort of had to fill in the blanks on your own.
Yeah, between 83 and when Phantom Menace came out in 99, it was kind of the dark times when all of your information was from like Lucasfilm books.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like,
or a newsletter, maybe.
Yeah, Bantha track. So like you'd be like, okay, I guess whatever they say in the Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina is what happened. I guess the Tales from Jabba's Palace is.
Yeah.
Or it was like all filled in from information from like role-playing games where like the Lucasfilm was just like, well, we got to sell some merch. We got to sell some stuff. Just make some stuff up and we'll okay the story, the backstory, and there's Willrow
We
Hood.
eventually got backstory because he was such a cult hero, first off starting in the card game, and then later on in various media. I think most of it was legend, so not necessarily canon now, but that's stupid.
If you get a chance, probably, Richard, you've probably already looked it up. They have the running of the Willrow Hoods at, I don't know if it's at Comic-Con or if it's at Celebration where, a gaggle of 30 or 40 people all dressed up carrying the same ice cream maker all run through, the various conventions.
That's the best. That's so good.
Yeah.
And the backstory is eventually that Willrow Hood was working for a mining corporation on Cloud City, and he was in charge of making sure that the Rebel Alliance got their gas at a discounted rate in order to help them. And the Camtino had all the files on who was getting this discounted gas, which would be very bad if the Empire was able to get that information and find out who was working with the rebels. So that's why it was so important for him to be able to take that. He eventually disposed of it, was captured and tortured on Cloud City, but never broke.
Oh, wow.
Willrow Hood, a goddamned hero.
A damned hero.
The discount on Hood on the gas was just like Ralph's cards.
Yeah.
30 cents.
30 cents if you've spent 100 credits, you get 30 credits off.
So the Camtino, what is it called?
Yeah.
That is a container, a safe.
It's basically a safe. Yeah.
And I wonder what format, because I'm interested in some of the portable disc formats of Star Wars, because you'll see different things that look like a little floppy disk or a big hard drive, or you'll see who was she or carrying that was big. Those big hard drives are part of Rogue One.
Yeah,
I realize it's not necessarily the Skywalker Saga or whatever.
Still.
But
and then later on, they have like the Jedi holocron or the Sith holocron. They're like the little cubes or kind of pyramid-shaped things that contain vast amounts of information.
Seem optical. Some of them seem magnetic. And some of them seem very.
Hey, it was a long time ago.
Who knows? Like
who knows?
Yeah.
Lost to the stars.
Okay. What's your final one, Winfield?
My final choice from the from the sequel trilogy is Vice Admiral Holdo from The Last Jedi.
Oh, that's a great one.
The character chosen or played by Laura Dern, who is introduced in the movie and de-introduced in the movie in a very heroic and just unexpected fashion. The way she kind of comes in, she coolly handles Poe Dameron
Puts
and
Poe in his damn place. Yeah.
puts Poe in his place. Kind of keeps running the playbook as she has been instructed to by the now ill or injured Princess Leia or
General
Leia. Sorry, old habits, hard to break from calling her Princess Leia. And everyone is dismissive of her, or at least Poe, the main character, is not being truthful, not talking to him, just being who is this person with purple hair and this kind of mauve dress and to give me commands. I'm out there on the corners.
She looks like she'd be running a pottery stand in Temescal. Taos.
But she ultimately proves to be just a very strong-willed character, as strong-willed as Leia, as strong-willed as Poe, and she stays behind and blows the shit out of the supremacy or whatever. I can't remember. It's probably the supremacy.
I think it is.
The the giant spaceship.
Yeah.
And just hyperspace jumps right through it. And that moment of sacrifice and being in the theater and watching that happen was incredible. Just the silence. It was something straight out of, they captured something that was like straight out of Alien or Aliens. I can't remember. I think it was Alien where like it just went silent. You just saw like the light and then the absence of sound and then everything kind of turned back up. And she just played a great character that obviously we'll never see in another Star Wars movie again.
When you've got a maneuver named after you, you've done something.
So yeah, that's my choice.
Okay. All right. What's your last one, Manfredi?
All right. My last choice is the Sarlacc.
All right.
From Return of the Jedi. And what can be said about the Sarlacc that hasn't already been said? I got one for you. Give the guy some sympathy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not his fault that Jabba the Hutt is using him as his personal pet.
Yeah.
He's just like a big, kind of not very smart creature that wants to eat. Mm-hmm. So he's going to eat whatever's thrown in there. He's not trying to eat our heroes. It's just food for him.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine Jabba is a very good pet owner.
No.
So I would imagine he's been starved for a while before anything gets in there.
What I appreciate about the Sarlacc is that it sits there in the great pit of Carkoon waiting for banthas to just fall into its gaping maw. And that's just like how it lives for thousands of years. It's just, is a hairy elephant going to wander by? Yeah. Maybe. Who knows?
Kind of
Only need one every once in a while. So a fun fact about it, actually, the sound that was used was a combination of alligator noises and also the sounds of some of the Jedi crew's stomachs after eating pizza.
Oh, that's interesting.
Fascinating to me. I just, there is a Shakespeare version of the Star Wars trilogy. There was I think it was book first, and then they did an audio version of all three. It's
sure, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard them at all.
I've seen them, but I haven't heard them.
Yeah, the Sarlacc gets its own soliloquy.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's fantastic. Every major and minor character gets one except for Chewbacca, which is kind of infuriating and kind of perfect in its own way. But yeah, the Sarlacc has its own little bit. So yeah, I think
I love that authorial choice to be like, I know what I'm doing here. I know what the people want. They want the Chewie soliloquy. I'm
not going to give it to them though.
Sarlacc.
But the Sarlacc, just one of the I think representative of this weird world of like creatures who aren't quite smart enough or refined enough or developed enough to be humanoid or to be
the megafauna of the Star Wars universe.
Exactly, yeah.
Like the giant space worm or the creatures under Naboo or...
Yeah, there's this whole in that fact, my daughter has a book of the fauna of Star Wars, so it's in there.
Great.
Cool. That's some really great choices, you guys. Michael, I'm going to try to see if I can find a pattern, but it seems like, Michael, you chose some characters that are moving chess pieces from one place to another. They're either providing information to allow the protagonist to go get closer to solving the clue, or kind of moving the plot around. Richard, I felt you did a good job of finding characters that put our hero into contrast. So Biggs, puts our hero of Luke into contrast to Willrow Hood being the guy who just kind of runs off into anonymity.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like, especially in the rescue mission on the Jabba's, what do you call it? Skiff?
A sail barge.
The sail barge. That Sarlacc is definitely the thing that kind of ultimately gives Boba Fett his identity at the end of that. So
Certainly.
The Sarlacc also was something that always wanted to be made into a toy that just impossible to. You just had to find ways to try to pretend as a kid because it's just like you can't.
It's a big
it's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So they should have sold just a shovel. Build your own Sarlacc.
Yeah.
Just dig a hole. Done.
So, because I love the character, so let's get into some point given, which means, oh my God, I'm going to try out one of these buttons here. Let's see if I'm actually able to do it. Yeah, guard your ears. There it is. There's the button. Want to give a point for Babu Frick, just because he was a standout character and pretty great. That's Richard's. Want to give a point to Lobot, just because, I don't know.
Because he's Lobot.
Dude's got swag. Want to give a point for Vice Admiral Holdo, but I will not because she was most detested by me. And if there was a reverse of this sound, I would somehow make it.
Really?
Yep. I absolutely felt like that. Her character, that whole storyline, that thing was just a fart storm throughout that whole film. A waste of celluloid, a waste of pixels, a waste of...
Biggs Fart Storm was another character.
Yeah.
Biggs Fart Storm.
All right, so what's your third? If it's not her.
Let's go EV-99. You get some real cool storyline about how EV-99 was moving characters into places that will ultimately be very interesting for them. And just because I got to do this, because Michael's been the standard bearer for Star Wars for this whole time. Have I picked 4?
Yeah, you're on your 4th right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take 4 points off of mine for
Anti-pick.
Admiral Holdo. I can't, the law of the
He
land.
farted on it.
Yeah.
Let's go with Dexter Jettster. And, Richard, you stepping up to Michael and trying to
step to the
trying
king.
to step to the king.
It takes a lot of cojones on my part to suggest a Star Wars topic with Michael here.
So I got 6 points. Richard, you got 1 point, but I took off 4 points, so I got 2 points.
Oh, okay. I don't
Fair.
know how that happened. Well, guys.
Brutal.
Yeah, this was super fun. And once again, I want to thank our audience for listening to the Mount Rushmore podcast. This has been Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.